Dive into investing with the Wave Water Park Resort, a sponsor of this podcast. North Dakota's largest indoor water park will be making a splash in the city of Fargo, and they're seeking accredited investors to join them in creating this ultimate water park experience. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, they want to hear from you. Visit thewavebyepic.com to contact them or learn more about getting involved in this exciting opportunity. Make a splash with the Wave Water Park Resort. Investing is limited to accredited investors only.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening once again to the Inforum Business Beat podcast. This is your host, Thomas Evanella. Restaurants here in the Fargo-Moorhead area are seemingly always in the news, and the man behind that news is Helmut Schmidt. He's here with me today. Helmut, it's nearly every week that you have a new local food story, and you're here to give us a roundup on what we've seen throughout the year. And how are things going today? I'm sure you've got another restaurant story today, as we speak, that you're pursuing.
And you won't get that out of me yet. No, yeah, it's been a really lively restaurant scene for the last 5 months of just starting this year. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more openings. I think for the most part, be a lot more openings and closings. It's looking up. People are spending more of their money on experiences. They're going out. Things they couldn't do during COVID, they're doing now. And what they're doing is kind of shifting the money that they used to use for furniture and do-it-yourself at home. They're shifting it over to the experiences, trying to enjoy life a bit more now. So I think you'll see a lot more restaurants.
So we're not spending on outfitting our home offices anymore, so people are going out a lot more. What has been in the news since the start of the year? What have been the major openings and closings that we've seen?
Well, we had a really good start with Blarney Stone at the Hotel Donaldson. That opened January 12th. It was a long-awaited opening. It was delayed by, you're trying to get construction workers, and supply chain issues really hit them hard. They had a harder time getting kitchen equipment and specialized bar equipment because, of course, up and down the production process, people are having a hard time, again, getting parts. So it took a little longer than they wanted. They really wanted to be open in October of last year. But, Jim Poolman and his partners got it open, and they did a really nice job on revamping that place. You wouldn't have thought it needed revamping, but now that they're done with it, it looks great. They've got 2 very nice bars in it, lots of seating, so that's fine too. Something they did manage to do, now Hotel Donaldson, all through the time that the Hodo itself was closed, hotel was open. But even so, the partnership that took it over decided to revamp the hotel rooms. So the whole building has been revamped outside, and there's still some more work planned. You'll probably see a patio this summer and maybe some further work. So it's been really, I think, a pot of gold downtown. Is that close as I can get to an Irish accent? I don't know.
I would definitely agree. They've put a lot into that place and completely changed the feel inside too. It's pretty impressive. If you haven't checked it out, you ought to.
Yeah. Like I said, that was a good save for downtown. Without the Hodo there, it seemed like that corner had gone dark for a long time. Now with the Blarney Stone there, brings a little more life to downtown. Okay, where do you want to go next? How about Punk Chef Pizza?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, can you repeat after me? Hey, ho, let's do. Hey, ho, let's do.
Except they are going, correct?
Oh, that's cold. Okay. Oh, it really was a third go-around at that place for Nate and Melissa Savageau. The place being the Block E building. It's a beautiful building. It's fairly new. Looks great. Steel and glass. It's on 8th Street in Main and Moorhead. They had brought in Usher's House originally in 2019, and that was kind of an upscale concept. But it seemed to work really well there. And then the pandemic hit. And, of course, everything closes. So they closed on spring 2021, and then they brought a different concept in, and that ended up closing. my timeline's off a little bit. That one ended up in spring 2021. They tried the new concept that was a slimmed down menu. They had tapas, appetizers, a little more laid back vibe, and that closed at the end of 2021. A little while later, they decided to try Punk Chef Pizza. The idea behind that, pizza is easier to source for ingredients. The price points are probably a lot better for people in that area. And they just thought it would work. It was close to the colleges, place to walk up. They brought in Punch Cup. He did some punk rock art for them, and they thought they had it, but it just didn't take. And so that closed, and that was earlier this year. And they've tried a GoFundMe to see where they can go on that. They, as I talked to Nate, he was hoping to try and source about $90,000 to see if he couldn't create a shipping container version of Punk Chef Pizza and plop that down in a good location and see if that wouldn't work. So far, they've gotten about $1,100 in pledges. So the GoFundMe, that's not going anywhere. But, they might still do it yet. It should be interesting to see. I mean, the shipping container concept worked really well for Nova Eatery at Fargo Brewing Company. So we'll have to see where that goes.
We had another little bit of downtown Fargo restaurant news, and this was kind of a bigger one when it first happened, was the Mexican Village closed its downtown Fargo location.
Absolutely. They announced that closure in February, and I remember Mexican Village. It was dominant in downtown Fargo ever since I'd gotten here, and that was in the late 80s. And they always seemed to do really good business, and very popular, and so popular they opened a second location down on 45th Street South and near 32nd Avenue, which is doing pretty well. But one thing I think a couple things I think did them in. Been a lot of construction downtown that can really upset traffic flows and make it hard for customers to get to you. The building had gotten older, and with poor access, things like that. But it has a huge parking lot. What do you want downtown? You want someplace where your customers can park. So that was good. But there's also been a lot of competition growing in that Tex-Mex and Mexican cuisine segment of the restaurant market. That might have played a part into it too. I think you'd have to ask the owners, but I think there is definitely a lot of competition there. So there's a possibility that might have played a part in their decision to decide to consolidate into one location.
And we are going to address that later on. You're jumping the gun a little bit, Helmut. Watch yourself. You're ruining my questions. But another interesting topic here is we're sort of talking about the downtown area, and this is maybe a little bit broader, is the Taco John's on 10th Street closed. And that was also a big bit of news, but it also coincided with a couple of other fast food closures that we had been tracking in the beginning of the year. I feel like there's a broader issue at play here. What have you seen with some of those closures?
I think some of that has to do with the pandemic. You've got a lot of walk-in traffic going down. Several of these places have drive-thrus, but I think people got stuck to home more, didn't go out as much, and it really brought down the incomes for each of these places. And what happened, and you see this nationally, is that a lot of these places have closed. In fact, for the Burger King in North Moorhead, they were owned by a place out of Utah that ran something like 120 restaurants. And as part of a Chapter 11, they in March, I think they decided to close 27 of those Burger King restaurants. Now, how many other of their mix of restaurants they'll close, I don't know. It is a reorganization. They might have figured out this is what they need to do. Maybe they need to do more. But this was one of the casualties. And that seems to be what's been cited in this and other Burger King closures, other large conglomerates that own multiple Burger Kings. And it makes sense. You'll see a certain natural drop-off. you might see, say with a Sam's Club, you might see them building 40 Sam's Clubs in a year. But then they'll close 4 or 5 just because they don't like those locations, or they don't like they build their own, but some places don't like that the rent goes up. And they look at their bottom line and they'll say, I don't like this. I can go to another location and maybe do better there. The rent's, I have to sign a 5-year lease. Do I want to do that? And they might just decide, no, not for this location. A little bit of the economy, a little bit of natural. You'd have to ask each owner in each case, but I think those are a couple of things at play there.
Right, and that was the Taco John's on 10th Street in North Fargo. There was a Taco John's on 13th Avenue in South Fargo that closed, and the North Moorhead Burger King you mentioned. Probably a mix of factors there. Leases ending, buildings getting older, locations maybe not working. Those are negatives, but we have a lot more positives that I want to get to. This is Helmut, this is going to be another big one for West Fargo. We're going to move focus to West Fargo here. Junkyard Brewing is moving into the former Bell Bank location on Cheyenne Street. What can you tell us about that one?
Well, that's a good get for West Fargo. Let's just say that right now. Junkyard Brewing, they announced that in February that they were going to renovate the Bell Bank building along Cheyenne there. And that is into what is becoming something of a built-up downtown for West Fargo. They're getting a nice subsidy from the city. I mean, they're getting some incentive money, business incentive money, and payment in lieu of taxes, tax break. Altogether, that's worth about $670,000. So that's really good help in renovating that old bank building. And they've been going right at it. I've driven by that a couple of times. And I look forward to getting in there. There's going to be a main floor bar and tap room, and the second floor is going to have a bar. And what can you say? Woohoo!
There is not much else to say about that, to be honest. I totally agree with you. I think that's a huge get for West Fargo, especially with what they're trying to do with their downtown. It's super walkable area. It's very nice. It's all newly paved and done up. That is going to be a really nice get for them once that does open. And moving right along to another one here, we had a little bit of a reshuffle with Himalayan Yak in South Fargo. They had a location along 25th Street South. That location was closed in favor of a new one near the mall.
Well, that happened in November last year. They found out that they were going to open the second location. And they'd had some success there. That was at the 25th Street Market Mall. And then they decided to take on the La Fiesta Mexican and American Grill spot, and that's just north of 13th Avenue in the West Acres Mall. Nice little location. So they get the second restaurant open in February. They have a little trouble. They have to close it and take care of some stuff. And it was in March then that, after getting the second location reopened, that they announced that they were going to close the 25th Street South location, which is kind of sad. But as I understand it, they might have had difficulty staffing both locations. So, again, we at least get to keep the yak. That's a good deal. If you like Indian and Nepali food, that's a good place to go. So they got a nicer, bigger location. Sure would have been nice to have 2 of them.
Helmut, where do you want to go next? We've got a lot more to cover here. Why don't you take the lead here?
I don't know. You want to go downtown again?
Let's go downtown again. Who doesn't like going downtown?
Who doesn't like it? Absolutely. Well, there's Tundra Grill was an interesting story. They had been originally, it had been a food truck. And then the lady that owns it, Jessica Torres, decided she's going to try bricks and mortar. So she went into the Bowler for a while. She used their kitchen. But that deal didn't work for long. They decided to part their ways. And it was in January that she decided to take over the 623 Nutrition Space. That's at 623 NP Avenue, right pretty much in the heart of downtown. And it's right next to Sushi Burrito and Faux Delicious. To me, that's a perfect space if you're going to put another restaurant in, especially a small space. You all three can feed off of each other.
There we go again.
Ding, ding, ding. Got a pun in. No, it was a good space. And she got it going, was going for a few weeks, and then she decided to switch concepts. Normally to me that there's a warning buzzer there.
It's an interesting move, to be sure.
It is an interesting move, to be sure. But she might have got it right. She switched to a hot dog concept, fancy hot dog concept, and it's called the Dog Pound. And as far as I can say, people have been saying hot dog ever since.
I think that's a great concept to have in downtown, especially if we start to see more and more of the office workers coming back downtown. That seems like a really great place to go in and out for lunch. A big pull of office workers will be when the Bell Bank headquarters opens downtown, whenever that may be. So I think that's a great little spot, and it's nice to have that. And we have another little spot downtown. I think this is finally our last downtown spot, and that's Spaghetti Western.
That's right. I look forward to that. Downtown really hasn't had a dedicated Italian restaurant for a couple of years now. Now, it was in March they found out about Spaghetti Western, and it's planned for 524 Broadway, which has had a couple of restaurant concepts in it over the years. The owner is Fabrizio Di Gianni, and his wife is Brigid McGuire, and they're planning a spring opening yet. So it could be happening soon. I'm keeping an eye on that. Then again, as we've had with other restaurants, if they have trouble, sourcing equipment or getting enough workers, that might slip into summer. But they've got the paper up on the windows. They're doing something in there now. And like I said, it would be good to have another Italian restaurant downtown. I, like a lot of people, miss Toscana. That closed in April 2020. That came with the death of the owner and chef Mirko Morganti. So I look forward to Spaghetti Western. Look forward to seeing that come back.
Another one up in North Fargo is the Fish and Chicken Shack. They are looking to reopen. Is that correct?
Yeah, they reopened in April. And I learned about that one in late March. And the owner is Lyons Bynum. He had it open for a while and then closed it. He had opened it in December 2020 originally and then closed it kind of quietly in 2022. And it had been a couple concepts before that, and I wondered, is this just a spot that doesn't work for restaurants now? It had been a pizza joint before that, and actually before that it had been another pizza place. Well, I just wondered. But, then he said, going to give it another shot. And what he had done is use the time to revamp the place. He made more room inside so people can come in and eat, sit down and eat. And it's supposed to be Chicago-style chicken and fish. And from what I can see from online reviews, people like it. It's a small place, but, if you can sit down once in a while and let's face it, there's not a lot in North Fargo. I think if you're looking for a place to go out and eat, give them a shot.
You said it exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Is there aren't a whole lot of options in North Fargo, so it's nice to have a new option that has a sort of neighborhood feel, and it's right around the vicinity of the Shack too. Let's move to another one. This had long been a high profile business, the Cajun Cafe. This building, Cajun Cafe, is obviously closed. This building is now turned over once again, correct?
It is. You're talking about 1324 25th Avenue South. That used to be the Cajun Cafe. Really popular place. It too got knocked around a little bit by the pandemic, and I if I remember right, the owner just decided he'd had enough. He was going to retire, and let someone else try to run something there. It had briefly been open as Soul Foods. I had thought it had a good chance of going, but you just never know with a restaurant concept, and it quietly closed. The new owner is Juliana Cole with Lovely Grill, and she runs that restaurant with her fiance, and it serves American and African food. They began serving in mid-April, and I think it should be a good spot. Restaurant has 2 levels, got lots of room, and it's going to be right across from the Midtown Market, which is rapidly starting to come together. The building's up. They're working on the parking lot now. You can see that. And once they start putting in windows and doors, that'll go very quickly. Fit up goes very quickly for those places. So, after that, there's a senior housing facility planned for just behind that market, just to the west of it. So suddenly you've got a built-in, constituency, if you want to say. There's a lot more people living there, a lot of apartments around there. I think it's got a really good chance of making it.
Let's weave back for a second to the booze news. And I don't know where this trend came from, but all of a sudden we are interested in self-serve alcohol here in Fargo-Moorhead, and we have 2 new places to talk about.
Yeah, we do. The first one that got into that got going this year is Top Shelf Tavern. That's a self-pour beer, wine, cider, and cocktail spot. And that's in the Lights Complex at Cheyenne Street and 32nd Avenue South. And that's in West Fargo. It also has a full-service bar, by the way. And it opened in early April. And when I walked in there, they were already doing good business. There were, several tables full. People were happy, filling up flights of beer and giving it a shot. So that was doing well. The second one is Crafty Taps, and that's a similar self-pour beer and wine concept. They're in the West Acres food court, and they opened on May 1. Now, it's a little beer and wine garden. It's fenced off from the rest of the mall. You get in there, you have to show your ID, and, cashier checks that, keeps watch of it. And they serve a lot of local favorites. They've got Drecker, Fargo Brewing, Icewind Brewing, and then they've got some seltzer and wine selections. And it's owned by a couple of local businessmen, Chase Raymond and Zachary Schnitzler. And I was actually at the mall a couple days ago taking some other photos, catching up on another story, and there were people trying it out. Personally, I predict that's going to be a really good spot for bored husbands and boyfriends who have been brought to the mall for shopping trips.
I don't know how we didn't do this sooner, to be honest. Let's talk about another place that is sort of lighting things up online, and this is, I believe, our only sweet option on the list, and that is Vampire Penguin. This is a pretty new story that you had a couple weeks ago. Tell us about them. The name is, I think, what's most intriguing here.
Okay. Well, we'll bite on that, so to speak. That Vampire Penguin, that's a shaved snow and boba tea and coffee shop. They're at 4600 17th Avenue South. That's in a place called North Marketplace. It's a little mini mall there, just east of Home Depot. And the shaved snow concept is really interesting. You would think it would be icy. It's kind of actually sort of creamy, and it's tasty. It's good. I went there for Mother's Day. I was the last customer in the door. And for my wife, I got chocolate overload. And I got the orange dreams for me. And the whole idea here was to take a photo for the story that I was planning to do. And so I get them home, and we ate them both before I thought to whip out my smartphone. So,
that was why you didn't have a photo in the story. There's the truth, readers. That is why there was no photo in the story.
Absolutely. But people were happy. I'm going in the store. I'm hearing people say, "Yeah, what'd you think? Oh, that really tasted good." And the flavors: Fruity Pebbles, Pina Colada, Almond Joy, S'moreos, Tooth Fairy, which by the way is bubblegum and cotton candy. They were really doing well. They pretty much word by mouth at that point. By the second weekend in the business, they ran out a number of ingredients, and they had to close Monday, May 15th, to restock. So I think they have a really good chance of doing well.
And we're coming into the warmer weather months, so that's perfect timing. I have a couple we're going to hit on right here. I don't know how to categorize some of these, to be honest. It's a little bit of a grab bag here, a little miscellaneous. Hi-Ho and Dilworth went up for sale. The taco shop opened its new location on 45th Street, and Thai Orchid is moving to West Fargo. So these are existing businesses that are kind of moving or going through some changes. So why don't we hit on those quickly? What can you tell us about those?
Okay, a little business Tetris here. Well, if you're looking to get into the burger and brews business, Hi-Ho Burgers and Brews in Dilworth is for sale, or at least was as of a couple of weeks ago when I did the story. We found that out in mid-April. It's at 10 Center Avenue East. And for those that know the area, if you're on that side of town, it's kind of a go-to place for, burgers and a beer. Rick Carvo Sr., he owns the restaurant with his wife, Kathy. And when I talked to him, he said retiring was beckoning. It was time. His son will continue to operate the other Hi-Ho, which is on 25th Street South in the same mall that owns Family Fare. That's just on the north side of 32nd Avenue South. And so the family will still have a hi-ho going. But if you're interested, hi-ho, burger away.
You are rolling. You're rolling today, aren't you?
My Lone Ranger bit. Okay, taco shop. Well, Troy Thompson, he had owned a taco shop at 420 North University, and he had decided to close that. The replacement, numerical replacement, is actually what had been Mi Familia. Now, that's an interesting spot, 4474 23rd Avenue South. That's the Liberty Square Mall. That's just south of I-94 and just east of 45th Street. So Mi Familia had been there. Troy bought it from them. The thing is, 5 years before, it had been a taco shop. They had bought it from the previous owner of the people that owned taco shops. So, now it's a taco shop again. Good-looking store. I think people like Troy's food, and I wish him a whole lot of luck. He's got a nice drive-in on that, newer place. Be worth a shot. Another interesting thing there related to that, 420 North University. It's that time of year, if you're ready to buy your plants, Holland's Home and Garden moved in there, and man, did they dress that place up.
They really did.
They really did. Painted inside and out. Revamped the interior. It was just a couple and a couple of their workers, and by the sweat of their brows, they really made that place look nice. Lots of plants there. I went there and got myself, I got my wife, she wanted some new shrubs up front. And then, again, it was Mother's Day. I really loaded up for Mother's Day, man. I got her a candle, and, I got this all home, and, hey, I didn't do wrong. So Holland's is there. That filled that place up. Now, where were we? Were we talking about Onyx?
We had one more we wanted to hit on there. That was Thai Orchid moving from the Moorhead Center Mall, which we all know the upcoming fate of the Moorhead Center Mall. The writing's kind of on the wall there. They are moving to West Fargo and in sort of an interesting spot.
It is. We had twigged onto that a few weeks before I finally got the family to say on the record that they were going to be there. And the way we twigged onto it was the fact that there was a building permit taken out for the Taco John's on Main Avenue in West Fargo. And we looked at the price, and then we looked at the background information, and lo and behold, it was the same folks that owned the Thai Orchid. So we talked to them, and when they were ready, they sat down with us, and that was April 20th. And Anios confirmed the move. And they had bought that building from the previous owner was WS Enterprises, which owns several Taco John's stores. And it's a loss for Moorhead, but again, it's a nice win for West Fargo. When you think of it, they're really starting to put together a locus of restaurants and other businesses in a kind of a small area of Main Avenue and Cheyenne Street up there. They are putting together an actual downtown bit by bit by bit. So, before when you looked at it, the downtown was maybe a little fragmented and really not much over one story. And now it's going up, and it's getting a little more dense. And, they're getting a lot more businesses down there. It's again, a good get for West Fargo.
Yeah, they're certainly winning in that regard. It's becoming a lot more cohesive down there, for sure. And I have one more item that we need to round up here. And I believe in the news business, we call this burying the lead. So here we go. Puerto Vallarta and Plaza Azteca, two new Mexican restaurants. Puerto Vallarta being the latest news. I believe that was from a week ago. And I believe, if I have it correct, Plaza Azteca opened about a month ago. What's going on with the Mexican restaurants?
Mexican restaurants, actually, in the United States are the number two concept for fast food, fast casual restaurants. They're rapidly catching up with pizza places, which has dominated for a long time. And, it comes down to, one is people's tastes, but also, just like pizza, these foods that you produce, if you do it right, you can produce a nice plate, tasty plate, for a lesser price than maybe you can for a heavy steak and some other items or shrimp or something like that. It's just an area that's really grown. Americans are really taking to it. Well, what the heck, Tex-Mex, it is American food, just from a different part of the country. So that'll be interesting. But, Plaza Azteca, that was an interesting catch for me. I'd been watching that place. It was kind of like sitting at a fishing hole and waiting for a bite. And they opened their second location here in town, and they're at Timber Creek in Fargo on 52nd Avenue South, just east of Interstate 29th. It was April 17th, and I had stopped by just because I knew the place was close to opening, and it was like lunch hour. And this supplier comes on out, and I asked her, are they open? She said, yeah, they just opened just now. So I go on in there, and there's the guy that runs the place and manages it and is a co-owner, Juan Perez. He also runs the other Plaza Azteca here in town in Mas Tequila in West Fargo. And I tell you, he puts together nice places. They look good, and I see a lot of good reviews about the food and drink and the ambiance. And as far as I can tell, nice place to go for Mexican food and drink. Well, beyond Plaza Azteca, we were talking about what? Puerto Vallarta, right?
Yep, Puerto Vallarta, not too far away from where Plaza Azteca just opened.
Absolutely. Isn't it crazy? There must be 4 or 5 brand new restaurants with the Mexican concept within about a mile or two of each other. And they're all doing well. And I think Puerto Vallarta is also going to do well. They opened in the Shops at Osgood, and that's just off 45th Street South and 40th Avenue South. That's the same building that had the Hennessy's Irish Pub. And they're aiming for an upscale family restaurant experience. They also have a full bar. And they did a nice job inside, both Alfonso Rodriguez and Pedro Morales, the owners, and they revamped it very nicely. They put in a brand new kitchen. That's a huge kitchen. They've got room to expand. In fact, I think they have about 100 seating for 170 seat people now. They're rated for 240. So if we ever forget the pandemic, they're going to be able to cram a lot more tables in there. But I think they're also going to be able to serve a lot more people. And given the kitchen that size, they could very well do catering. It's they're well positioned to get a lot bigger. Both Rodriguez and Morales have a lot. They have a lot of restaurant experience behind them. And again, I've been keeping an eye on the reviews online, and people seem really happy with the food, and they really like the service. So again, the Tex-Mex food market may look like it's getting filled up, but the concepts have been pretty popular, and Puerto Vallarta looks to be a keeper.
If you keep opening them and they keep working, there's no reason to stop opening these Mexican restaurants. We will reach a saturation point at some point, but that day obviously has not gotten here. And now, Helmut, that was a really, really comprehensive look at what's happened so far this year. We might have hit on just about every story we've had this year. What are you watching for the rest of the summer in terms of openings or closings or trends? What do you have your eye on?
Well, in Moorhead, there's Onyx. That's supposed to be a concept that's going in the Speakeasy Restaurant, or what had been the Speakeasy Restaurant and Lounge in South Moorhead. And it's going to be a bar and grill down there. Dave Olson's been keeping an eye on that, and I imagine he'll update us, or one of us will get to it hopefully. Old Broadway downtown, they've been doing a lot of work on that, and they're probably within a month or so of being able to say, hey, come on in and see what we've done to this place.
That is going to do it for this. Oh, you got something?
The freeze. We forgot the freeze.
Oh, we forgot the freeze. I said there was only one suite. Let's record something on the freeze real quick.
Okay. Late April, we found out that the freeze is for sale. I don't know where that's at. Jessica Melvin and Jessica Verdi own that, and they had it for sale. So if you want to keep the people in that part of Moorhead happy, keep them refreshed in the summer with some cold treats, someone buy it from them.
Well, Helmut, once again, thank you so much for being on the Inform Business Beat podcast with us today, chatting about all the latest restaurant news here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. We're no doubt going to be keeping an eye on your upcoming stories. I should probably honestly let you go and get back to another one because I'm sure you got another one cooking right here, right now. That's going to do it on the Inforum Business Beat podcast for this week. As always, this has been your host, Thomas Evanella. Look out for Helmut's next restaurant story on inforum.com/business.
Get 3 months of local news for just 99 cents a month. You'll get unlimited access to the news you need to stay engaged and connected to your community. Visit inforum.com/subscribe now to get 3 months of local news for only 99 cents a month.